Gerald Green was one of the last players to come straight out of high school and into the NBA. And Kobe Bryant himself once stated that he was a hell of a talent and that the young high school star reminded him of himself when he first came into the league. But the comparisons to Kobe, Tracey McGrady and Vince Carter wouldn't be enough by themselves to guarantee Gerald Green's place in the league. Some warning signs had been there in the early days, but none expected Green to be out of the league and playing in Russia, China and the D-League as soon as his rookie contract expired. And most would have expected him to remain out of the league for a long time after he left. But Green has proven all of them wrong and returned from Russia to carve out a role as a fantastic bench scorer in the NBA. This video will detail the entire history of Gerald Green, a player with all the talent in the world who just couldn't find a home to develop it in, as well as discussing his current role with Houston and the spark that he provides for the Rockets on the court. Gerald Green would be born in Houston, Texas, and the most interesting thing from his childhood, all basketball aside, was an accident in the 6th grade which resulted in a significant portion of his right ring finger being cut off. Athletically gifted at such a young age, Gerald had attempted to dunk on a makeshift basketball hoop and ripped his finger on a nail, leaving amputation as the only option. But this finger and the insults that came with it would not stop Green from developing as a player. He was always blessed with incredible talent, but developed more than just athleticism and had a jump shot that looked pure and went in at incredible rates in high school. In his senior year at Gulf Shores Academy in Houston, he would average 33 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists and 3 blocks a game, numbers that indicated an ability to dominate all facets of the game. As a result, he would be ranked the #1 player in his high school class, and despite originally committing to Oklahoma State University, he would declare for the NBA draft straight out of high school. Many draft analysts thought Green would go in the lottery, and some even projected him to reach the top 10 of the draft. Gerald himself expected to be taken 3rd overall by Portland, but the Blazers would trade the pick to the Utah Jazz and they would select Deron Williams. Pick after pick would go by, and Green would sit in the green room, sweating on his name being called. And then finally, with the 18th pick, he would be chosen by the Boston Celtics and join a bit of a messy situation. The Celtics would miss the playoffs in both years that Green was there, and many media pundits thought that Doc Rivers was wasting Paul Pierce's prime and that he needed to be fired. Green himself has said as well that he wasn't a student of the game in Boston, that he didn't pay much attention to what his coaches and Doc Rivers said to him. Gerald thought that the immense shooting and athletic talent he had been blessed with would carry through to the NBA and allow him to dominate in the league. Doc Rivers commented on all of this also and said that if Green had have listened to all of his advice, he would be an all-star in the NBA by now. But he would be traded in the blockbuster series of moves that Boston made to acquire Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Gerald Green would find himself behind a glut of other small forwards and requested to be traded from Minnesota again. Thus would result in an exceptionally short stints in Dallas and Houston before he found himself without a contract and instead a label. A label of being a very talented player that wouldn't listen, didn't train hard, couldn't play defense, and was to be seen as a warning to all other players considering leaving high school and going straight to the NBA. And as a result, no other team would offer him an NBA contract, and Green found himself without a job and without an assured basketball future. Gerald considered leaving basketball behind and returning to college to get a degree and pursue a more traditional career, but instead he would do something that almost no other basketball prodigies do: head to a Russian club for 2 seasons and rough it out in a culture he had never experienced. But here, Gerald Green would re-find his love for basketball. He himself said that he had lost the love for the game in Dallas, Minnesota and Houston, and that going back to Russia and becoming the star would reignite his love for the game. Green said that the simple life of playing basketball every day, training twice a day, and being responsible for a large role in his team helped him become a much better player. Following this stint in Russia, he would go to China, where he would be released after only 4 games with his team. But instead of returning back to Russia, he would go to the D-League to continue improving as a player. Green and his coach Eric Musselman both said that he wasn't worried about trying to get called up to the big leagues, but that he was simply trying to absorb everything and become a better basketballer. And this attitude would see Green do the right things in the D-League, not try and do too much on the field, and play within the team and himself, as well as trying exceptionally hard on defense. This new attitude would grab notice from those around the league. Perhaps the exceptionally talented Green didn't have as many problems before. Perhaps he would fit in and utilize his immense talent for the first time in the NBA. The Brooklyn Nets saw this and took a small risk and signed him to a 10-day contract. Green would shine immediately and would be re-signed by the Nets to another 10-day deal and finally to a fully guaranteed contract for the season. Gerald Green would play 31 games in the season for the Brooklyn Nets and average 25 minutes, 12.1 points, and a steal per game on solid shooting percentages. Suddenly, he looked like the perfect off-the-bench scorer, a guy who could spark it up and provide instant offense when given the ball. And the league would agree, as Indiana signed him to his first long-term deal of 3 years and $10.5 million. Gerald had done it. He had made it back from the ice-cold regions of Russia and back to his dream, playing in the NBA. He would struggle slightly in Indiana and they would eventually trade him to Phoenix, an up-tempo system which focused on threes and layups. Here he would absolutely thrive, scoring almost 16 points a game and shooting 40% from 3 whilst landing some of the most high-flying and spectacular dunks seen around the league. But following this season, he would regress slightly, before having solid seasons in both Miami and Boston. In each city, he would play whatever role was asked of him, and was reportedly a fantastic locker room presence in Boston. Gerald Green had become an NBA veteran. And in Boston, he was also integral in many games when they had injured players, as well as being a vital part of turning around the playoff series against Chicago and making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's why it was so bizarre that after the free agency period of this season, Gerald once again found himself without a job. A man this talented, one of the best three-point shooters in the league, and a spark-off-the-bench kind of player, seems like the kind of guy most teams would want, and could be a patch-up for a team when they went through injuries. But Gerald stayed ready in the free agent pile and continued to work on his game, waiting for a team to come calling and pick him up. And a better opportunity couldn't have come than when the Houston Rockets came calling for Green's services. The pace and space system that Mike D'Antoni employs is incredibly reminiscent of the team that Gerald thrived with in Phoenix. And the results have been fantastic for Green and the Houston Rockets. In his first 5 games there, he has averaged 16.8 points per game on an incredible 55% shooting from the field and an unreal 56.8% from the three-point line, whilst making over 4 threes a game. Now these numbers are likely to drop slightly, especially the shooting percentages, but it is easy to see how Green would benefit from playing alongside Chris Paul and James Harden. The gravity that these players draw helps to open up anyone. But when you combine this with the speed at which Houston plays, it becomes very difficult to help and recover in time to stop shooters get off their shots. And Green will not only knock down open shots, but he has proven in his time in the league that he can hit tough contested jumpers as well. And this kind of player is literally perfect for Houston. He can play the backup shooting guard and play minutes when Harden is off and Chris Paul is on, and then if he gets hot, D'Antoni can give Harden slightly more rest or play the 3 guards together and rest other players. And getting in this rest over the course of a season can be exceptionally important for teams that want to go deep in the playoffs. Eric Gordon, Trevor Ariza, and Chris Paul will all also benefit from the addition of Gerald Green. These 3 players are all getting older, and whilst they might look sprightly now in the early stages of the season, every minute counts. And if I was Mike D'Antoni, I'd be riding the hot hand of Green as much as possible and giving all of these guys as much rest as possible in games. So Gerald Green has found his home with the Houston Rockets, a team he has played for before, and his hometown city. His contract was recently guaranteed for the rest of the season, and he will once again feature on a strong playoff team. Gerald Green once said, in regards to being a superstar in the NBA, that I understand that probably won't be me. I just want to be a productive player in this league. When I retire, I want people to look at me and say, Gerald Green, he was a winner. He brought it every night. He didn't give up, and that's what I want to be about. I want people to remember me not just as a dunker. And whilst the high-flying dunks, windmills, and alley-oops will be remembered, fans in Boston will remember him for saving their season in 2017 against the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs. And he will now have an opportunity to make a difference in the playoffs once again for Houston this year. In their game against the Warriors, he put up 29 points and 8 three-pointers as he helped keep the Rockets within the game, and reminded the entire nation of the talent that once had him pegged as the #1 player in the country. If you can bring this kind of performance in the playoffs against Golden State and potentially help the Rockets overcome this seemingly unbeatable Warriors team, then people would never be able to say that Gerald Green wasn't a winner. And even if they don't, the attitude of the man to go from superstar in high school to out of the league and still have the commitment and courage to go to Russia shows someone who is not a quitter, someone who never gives up on their dreams and always strives for what they love. And whether his shot goes in or not, whether Green and the Rockets can beat the Warriors or not, he'll always be remembered for that, not just a dunker. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future, and let me know in the comments below what you think of Gerald Green and his incredible NBA journey.